Tonight you're going to lie down in a bed, alone, or maybe next to one other person. The room will be dark, the door will be locked, and somewhere in the back of your skull, a very old alarm system is going to switch on because as far as your body is concerned, something about this entire setup is deeply, deeply wrong. You'll call it insomnia, you'll call it anxiety, you'll blame your phone, your coffee, your job. But the real answer is far stranger. For almost the entire span of human existence, nobody slept the way you sleep tonight, not once, not for a single night. Sleeping alone in a sealed room in near total silence is one of the newest and strangest inventions your species has ever tried. And your brain never got the memo. Think about it for a second. When was the last time you slept in a room with 6 other people breathing around you? Probably never, unless you were a kid at a sleepover. But for roughly 300,000 years, that wasn't a sleepover. That was just Tuesday. Anthropologist Carol Worthman spent years studying sleep across dozens of small-scale societies, from the rainforests of Africa to the highlands of the Pacific. What she found broke almost every assumption Western sleep science had quietly baked in. In these communities, people didn't retreat to private rooms. They slept in open, shared spaces. Multiple generations, multiple families, sometimes a dozen or more bodies, arranged shoulder to shoulder around a fire that never fully went out. There was no bedroom door, there was no lock, there was just the group. Why would that matter so much? Because sleep is not actually a safe activity, not biologically. When you're asleep, you're blind. You're deaf to most threats. You can't run, you can't fight, you can't even sit up quickly. For a hairless, slow, clawless primate on the African savanna, 8 hours of total unconsciousness should have been a death sentence. So how did your ancestors survive it? They didn't sleep alone. They slept in overlapping shifts. Researcher David Sampson, who studies sleep ecology among hunter-gatherer groups like the Hadza of Tanzania, discovered something remarkable when he tracked their nighttime activity with motion sensors. At almost any given moment throughout the night, someone in the camp was awake. Not the same person all night like a designated guard. Just naturally, randomly, someone would stir, sit up, tend the fire, glance into the dark, then drift back off. Across the whole group, this created something like a rolling, unbroken watch. No single person was ever fully alone in their vulnerability. The group as a whole never fully slept. This is the part that should stop you. Sampson's data suggests that in a Hadza camp of 20 to 30 people, there was almost never a moment when every single person was unconscious at the same time. Statistically, across an entire year of nights, it happened for less than 20 minutes total. Your ancestors weren't sleeping through the night the way you try to. They were sleeping through the night the way a shift-working factory operates. Someone was always minding the machine. Now here's the twist that changes everything. Evolutionary biologist Charles Nunn has spent his career looking at sleep from an entirely different angle. Not psychology, but ecology. Predation risk, parasite exposure, group defense. Nunn's research across primate species shows a clear pattern. The more vulnerable a species is while sleeping, the more socially clustered its sleep becomes. Baboons huddle on cliff ledges. Chimpanzees build nests near each other in the canopy. Humans, for the vast majority of their history, did the same thing on the ground, pressed close around firelight. Sleeping in a group wasn't a comfort. It was a survival strategy so fundamental that your nervous system built its entire architecture around expecting it. Which means the version of sleep you're attempting tonight, alone, in silence, in the dark, with no one else's breathing to calibrate against, is not the default setting for a human being. It's the exception. It's a very recent, very fragile experiment that most of your ancestors never once tried. So what happened? Why did you end up here, alone in a room? The shift came surprisingly fast. Private bedrooms as a common feature of ordinary homes are largely a product of the last 2 or 3 centuries, driven by industrialization, urban housing, and a growing cultural obsession with individual privacy. Electric light extended the day and pushed families apart into separate rooms with separate schedules. The fire that once gathered everyone into one glowing circle got replaced by a switch on the wall, and the switch didn't need anyone else to operate it. Somewhere in that transition, sleep quietly became a solitary act, and your nervous system, still running on ancient software, never adjusted. This is why so many people report feeling uneasy falling asleep in total silence. Why white noise machines mimicking wind or rain sell in the millions. Why so many people sleep better with a partner beside them, or a dog at the foot of the bed, or even just a television murmuring in the background. You're not being irrational. You're recreating, in a fragmented, modern way, the ambient presence of other living bodies that your brain still expects to detect before it will fully let go. Some researchers even connect this to why nighttime anxiety feels so uniquely intense. During the day, a wave of worry has company, distraction, movement, other people to reality check against. At 3 a.m., alone in the dark, that same worry has no witnesses and no competition. Your hypervigilant system, the same one that once kept a rotating watch over a sleeping camp, is still running. It's just running with no one left to hand the shift to. There's something almost tender in that idea. The racing thoughts that hit you at midnight aren't a malfunction. They're an ancient guard system, still doing its job, still scanning for threats, still trying to keep watch, just in a world that no longer builds camps around a fire. Modern sleep science is starting to catch up to what small-scale societies never forgot. Some hospitals now design maternity wards to keep mother and newborn in close, near-constant contact overnight, echoing exactly the kind of co-sleeping arrangement humans practiced for hundreds of thousands of years. Some therapists treating chronic insomnia now ask a question that sounds almost too simple. Do you feel physically safe in this room? Not intellectually safe, not logically safe, physically, in your body, safe. Because your ancestors never had to ask that question. The group answered it for them every single night, without anyone saying a word. You don't live in a camp anymore. You live behind a locked door, in a room built for one, in a silence your ancestors would have found almost unbearable. And yet every night you ask your body to power down completely in that silence, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. It isn't. It never was. Tonight, when you turn off the light and lie down in that room, alone, remember that the strangeness isn't in your racing mind. The strangeness is in the room. Because for almost the entire story of your species, no one ever had to learn how to fall asleep alone. You are one of the very first.